All right, you're watching the Power Hour, the show that helps you tap into your best self mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I'm your host, Larry Jones, and today we're diving deep into a conversation about mental health, personal growth, and resilience. Joining me is Kimberly Nichols, better known as your mentor, Kim. Kim, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm excited to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. Now, you've built such a powerful platform, helping people navigate life's challenges. Let's start by talking about your own personal journey. What led you to create your mentor, Kim?
We all have that walk, that coming to Jesus moment. So for me, I was married the better part of my entire adult life. I married young. I was married and with my ex for 29 years. Uh, and then you know, just something happens. You think you're gonna die together. You just think life is going to be
Yeah.
this fairy tale, and it doesn't happen that way. And there really was no major that happened. Quite frankly, I was going into my 40s, and things just didn't fit anymore. It just seemed we could not get on the same page, and things that never used to bother me started to really affect me, unknowing. We women, as we start to go through different stages of life, my kids were becoming grown. My place was shaky, and it just imploded. And it was over the tiniest little resentments, but they stack up when you don't deal with them.
It
And
does.
that's kind of what happened. And then, over the course a few years, so we've maintained a very friendly divorce. Our kids,
That's good.
we parent very well together. Our kids are grown. We have grandkids, and they adore us together, and they don't know any different. But also in the midst of that, where my mother suddenly got ill,
Mm,
was diagnosed the same month that the whole world was shut down on COVID,
yeah.
and it has just changed how I do life.
Yeah. Yeah, life can change you, you know what I mean?
Rapidly.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
mean, literally overnight, it can shake your whole foundation, and then you have choice. You can either lay there and die with them, or you've got to figure out a way to get back up and start putting
Yeah.
the pieces back together.
Yeah. You definitely have to get back in the game and,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Now, what inspired you to step into the role of mentor?
So the book, I put a book out. It's actually coming out. It's in the end stages. It comes out. We're doing the book launch in January, but it's becoming the friend that I needed, because what I realized, in divorce, you lose. Like, some people choose the husband, some people choose the wife. it's
Right.
it's not, they don't even do it intentionally. It's just organic what happens, and especially over a lifetime relationships, certain ones go with the husband and certain ones. And I just found that over the time going through all this, friendships fell by the wayside. I was raising children, and I was a wife, and we were owning businesses and running a house. And so when it came time that my life fell apart and I fell apart, I really didn't have anyone. And then I had to take a really good look at myself and wonder, how good of a friend was I? Was I the one that showed up for others in their time of need over the course of the years, or was I selfish? And when I really dissected it, I hadn't been an intentional friend. So it put the spotlight on me.
Yeah.
And honestly, most of the time, if we dial it in, we're the common denominator. And so we're the only thing that we have control over is ourselves. So I had to start there, honestly. And
Now,
it,
how did that make you feel? You're going through this divorce, and then the friends that you guys had, now, did they choose sides? Did they go with him and said, you know what, we're not going to do
no, I don't think I mean, there were the select few, which are the best friends on either side. Those
it?
are just like a commonality. But it just happens kind of very quietly, like parties. You start to notice
Yeah.
that you don't get an invite to a lot of them. The ones that were maybe had, so in our situation, I was married to a baby of 7. He had a giant family,
Mm,
and so they're how, just like, say, Thanksgiving dinner could be 45 people sitting at the table. So when they would have parties, because down the line, that's family. And so I think it just happens just naturally, because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle it, because nobody had ever known me without him, or vice versa. And so it's like, what do we do? Do we invite them both? Well, we can't kind of do that until we kind of got to the space where we were okay to show up, and we started just showing them, listen, we've been divorced. We still have a life together. We still have kids. We went through that phase of organically me just being left out, because I mean, technically it was his family. And the most part, when you have that many, you don't have many outsides. They all kind of come from the family dynamic. And I found that I was the one that was outside the circle more than not. And that's a humbling experience. Yeah.
Did that play a role in your mental health?
1000%. I can remember just having moments of complete meltdowns. I remember one specific moment. I went to my mom and I was just in tears. You would have thought I was 16 years old and got shunned from the most popular party ever. But it was the realization that when life changes and you're not prepared for it, and you got to kind of look around, like, who's with me, who's riding with me no matter what. And like I said, as we grow older, we tend to not take care of relationships as much as we do when you're young, because that's your primary focus when you're young. But as you're getting older, and every year since, I've noticed, if we're not intentionally taking care of and really honoring relationships that have boundaries, that are healthy for us, when we need them, it's going to be trouble.
Yeah. Now, mental health can mean different things to so many people.
Yeah.
How do you define mental wellness?
So mental wellness for me is boundaries. So mental wellness is, you don't have to, it's not okay, that's a good question. For me, I would have to dial it in and say that, mental wellness is somebody I feel very safe around. I don't have to constantly worry about over talking in a conversation. Once you get in a crowd and conversations start to roll, I don't have to worry, oh gosh, did I tell them too much? Did I say something now they're going to use it against me, or they're going to go back and talk about it in a different way than I actually said it? So I think it's a safe space. It's really governing a safe space with people that make you feel seen and heard, but also at the same time offering that to each person you're with.
Yeah. Now, in your experience, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people still have about mental health?
I think most people think it's a disorder, and that when it's got to have the label, and it's, let's say, so like you have the big ones, you have bipolar and you have schizophrenia, and those I think are most of the time termed the mental health. So when you hear it, people are automatically thinking, oh gosh, there's something major. But nowadays, I think it is so prominent in so many different circles. I can, for instance, I'm a perfect example. So one of the things that happened to me that started this journey as well was when me and my husband, we hadn't started the divorce yet, and I had to go in for an emergency hysterectomy. And the doctor, as soon as he gave me my IV and I was being put in the twilight to be rolled back, he said to my husband, sometimes women wake up from this normal and sometimes women go crazy. Well, do you know that planted the seed? Planted a seed.
Yeah.
When I came out of it, and obviously hormonally, you're a mess when they've taken everything you've been born with, until they can get that right. Well, any argument we had from that, within a time, I had lost my mind. I needed hormones. It couldn't just be that we were having a disagreement. It was that I had went crazy, and my doctor.
So he used that against you, pretty much.
1000%. And I don't know that he was grasping, because okay, she went to sleep, my wife, and now she wakes up completely different. Yeah. But instead of like giving me grace and really like, let's sitting down and have the conversation, or letting me work through it and get balanced, it was used against me. He even would attempt to call my doctor. And of course, there's the medical, where they can't just talk to anyone. My doctor wouldn't give him any information, and I'm sure he was lost, but that planted a seed, and that was huge in our beginning of our downfall.
Yeah. Now, did they try to put you on any medication? A lot of times they want to shove pills down your throat.
Absolutely.
This will fix it.
Absolutely. So I am a big natural proponent. Like I try not to take anything that I don't have to. And up to that point, I had never really needed anything. Um, I think 6 weeks in, they start to really watch your numbers. And I had a partial. So, technically your body parts are still supposed to be producing hormones. Well, a lot of times they don't. And mine gradually started over time. But I think so. Thankfully, my doctor did not really push them hard on me in the beginning because it's like you really still do got to give your body time to adjust. Okay, listen, we just went through something major, knocked us off of our balance. Let's start to so your body will, I think, over time start to produce what it should if you give it time to heal. But so many just don't, and they want to prescribe prescriptions. But fortunately, I didn't need anything for about 4 or 5 years, well, according to my husband. I did, but I didn't feel like I did. I just felt like I was going through a major. It was, what was more hard for me was, and I don't even know why, because I knew I wasn't having any more children.
Right.
But the second I woke up and I knew I could never have children again, I went into a depression. I
could
cried.
imagine that would do something to a woman,
It changed, and I did not expect that. I expected everything else. Like I had talked to everybody else about, okay, what am I going to feel like? Hot flash, all the stuff. Never once did it cross my mind that I was going to cry and grieve the fact I could not have children anymore.
Wow.
So yeah, that was and that was kind of the start of it. So over time, and then you add divorce and the loss of mother. So I realized I didn't even know who I was anymore, and that's what started this journey.
Wow. And look, you become the great woman you are today, right?
Well, absolutely, and learn every single day. I can't say I've got it perfected. I just know, and that's where this all came from. It was like I can be a voice for some maybe who are just starting in the mix and giving them advice. And I think that's what our role is. And I think that's what's missing. We've gotten away from very intentional relationships to where back in the day you had the elderly women in the church, or just the elderly would give advice. Well, now with Google, medical Google, everybody just gets on and Googles it. And
Dr. Google, right?
Dr. Google, right? I even, my daughter who's grown, when my grandson came along 12 years ago, I got more phone calls about, Mom, what do I do? And then now it's Dr. Google, and and I just think, no, there's part that comes from the humanness. It's like, okay, I know the baby's, having a rough night, and the doctor said, give him this, but this is what we used to do. And that's just a huge part of it.
Yeah. And it worked. It worked back then.
It works. It definitely works.
Yeah.
The old school stuff works, and it still works.
It does. It does. Now, when someone feels like they're stuck or overwhelmed, where do you recommend they begin their journey towards healing?
I think the biggest thing is giving themselves grace, because I think we always think there's something wrong with us.
Yeah.
And we don't honor the place that we could just be having a hard time. Every season of our life brings something else, and it's harder. I mean, new marriage is a little easier. And then when you add kids and bills and houses, and it gets harder and harder, and every season is different. Our bodies are changing. So I think it starts with giving yourself grace and really realizing you're not alone. Right. Very far from being alone. Most people are putting the perfect life on, especially with social media. You see this very aesthetic, perfect life, and then you're thinking, what is wrong with me? But I think if we really dissect it, most people, they have something they're dealing with.
Definitely. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. Now, can resilience be learned, or is it something that we're born with?
Nope. I think resilience can be learned. I think if you honestly are willing and able, but again, that's where I think your tribe is so helpful, because you might have moments where you don't want to get out of bed, and like I had my best friend show up at the door and gave me 15 seconds and said, I brought tools and I will take the door off the hinges. Thank God for those two best friends, because I was going through it. But I think resilience absolutely can be learned if you're willing, if you realize, okay, I'm going to let myself lay here and I'm going to feel this and I'm going to
Right.
go through it. And I may not wash my hair or brush my teeth for 5 days, but you have to know that there's a limit to that. And then you have to know, okay, I'm struggling with this. I need to talk to somebody.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. When do we know when it's time to seek professional help?
I think you know when it's time to seek professional help when you just can't get past yourself, when you just wake up every day. And even though your best intentions are at night, okay, I'm going to get up in the morning, I'm going to go for a walk, and I'm going to force myself. And you don't.
Mm.
And you just stay in the bed and you make every excuse to not answer the phone. And like I said, I think you need to go into it knowing, okay, it's been 5 days, or have a conversation with a friend and say, okay, I need to just feel this. Don't, I'm going to lay here and I'm not going to answer my phone but
Yeah.
don't let me go past a 2 week period or a reasonable time frame. But I think if you just can't shake it and you find yourself having lost all desire for things you used to love or enjoy,
Yeah.
there definitely comes a point that you need to seek professional help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are some practical steps people can take to strengthen their emotional resilience in everyday life?
I think the big part of it is guarding our ear gates and our eye gates. I think right now we are so inundated with information that I think we have to be super intentional about what we watch, what we listen to. I mean, people don't realize when you're listening to even music and the lyrics of, let's say, some harsh music, and that is just programming you and programming you, or you're in a dark spot in your life and you're really having a hard time, and then you're watching stuff that's angry and aggressive. And I think those are some of the things that we really need to just say, oh, even if that's something you love for this period of time until I can get my thoughts together, I'm going to be very intentional and really guard the gates of where information comes in, what I allow in. Listen, talk to my best friend. I'm struggling. So let's not talk about that today. Let's really just focus on the positives.
Right.
It's being very mature in our own well-being and knowing when you've had too much, when you're not strong enough to hear certain things,
Right.
then it's not the time to try to be something for everybody. And again, it's that giving yourself grace. I'm going through something. I can't be your sounding board right now.
Yeah.
I really need to focus on me, and I'll come back to that and we'll get it right. But right now, I have to just be very careful.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's real easy to start to hear that. I catch myself in the kitchen or something all the time, and something will happen to pop on the TV, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not something I would ever listen
Right.
to, and have to just turn it off immediately. Be in the car and turn off songs, because when we start to really listen to the words that
Yeah.
you get caught up. And now that I'm older and I'm really trying to be attentive, the stuff I spent in the 70s and the 80s just regurgitating, you're
Yeah.
wow, I
It
see.
becomes you, right? It becomes a
Yes,
part of you. And, you know, when
it
I'm
is
driving, I don't listen to music at all unless I'm driving long distance.
exactly. I don't either anymore.
Yeah.
But I did, and I just started thinking, wow, when we really listen to the words that we have just sang over and over and over again, oof, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like I
Mhm.
said, you become what you're talking about, what you're singing, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I want to talk about negative self talk. You know, people that how can we quiet that voice inside of our head?
That again, it's a learned behavior. It's being super, super dialed in and really practice. Practice makes perfect. What I've also done is I got stickies or dry erase markers for the mirrors in my house. And I will write on a mirror for where I do my makeup in the
Mm,
morning, or I'll put a sticky. And I even remind my best friends, if you catch me, because we're all guilty, somebody will say something, oh, you look great. Oh, I feel so fat. Like, and it's just part of our programming, whether it's don't be vain or whatever you're taught growing up. It's very natural. I think we're more quick to be negative than we are positive if we really don't try to catch it. But I think it's like I remind my best friends, if you hear me say something, call me out on it. Really just
yeah,
remind me, wait, stop. I'll put the notes around. I'll put, right on my mirrors, or I'll put a sticky in my car. And again, it's watching what I listen to. And it's practice. Practice makes perfect.
Right.
It's something you really have to give. It's almost like going on a diet and know
Right.
that it's really going to be super hard for the first 75 days or whatever it is. Like, this is not going to be fun.
Right.
I'm going to fail multiple times, but every time you catch it and you're able to, okay, I didn't like what I just said, and go backwards each time, it's going to get easier. And then you'll catch yourself immediately, and then you can, backpedal and rebuke it and start fresh.
Yeah. So it's like a lifestyle change as well, right?
It really is. It's
Yeah.
just like if you're going to start running, and it's like getting out there and you're not going to run the first mile, you're going to want to die. You're going to feel like your body's given up on
Oh
you.
my gosh.
And then, but you just keep trying. And like I said, grace goes a long way, but we got to give ourselves grace, just like we have. One of the good questions I ask myself now is, would I talk to my friend, my best friend, or anyone the way that I talk to myself?
Mm.
And most of the time, the
Interesting.
answer to that is no. So why would I, the person I spend the most time with, why would I talk to myself like that?
That's interesting, because a lot of time we give the best advice to our friends, right? But then when it comes to ourselves, we don't take our own advice.
It's so true. It absolutely is true. So when you really start to look at it and think, wait a minute, I spend the most time with me. I'm going to be with me till the end. Why would I talk to myself like that? I would never say
Right.
something like that to anybody else.
Right. Now, as we wrap up, what's one message or mantra you'd like to leave our listeners with, about the power of resilience or mental wellness?
I would say it's worth it. It's worth every time getting back up. It's worth it, because there were days, and I'll be honest, that I just thought my life could never be normal again. It could never be. It may not be the same, and it may not look the same, but it's worth it. And every day that I wake up now, I find that because my mindset is shifting, and I'm growing, and I'm older, and I'm wiser, and it's all a part of it. And now I can talk to the younger generation. It's all been worth it in its own way for what I have now.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. You're running out of time. I can talk to you all day long.
Thank you. I
Keep
would
this
love to
going.
talk again one day, for
Oh,
sure.
definitely. Whenever you're ready, you're always welcome to come back on the show.
Wonderful. I would love that. And I appreciate you having me on here.
Absolutely. Anytime. This is your home now, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. You're watching the Power Hour. Kimberly, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you.